Okay, tonight will be 1 Nephi chapter 17.
And it came to pass that we did again take our journey in the wilderness, and we did travel nearly eastward from that time forth. And we did travel and wade through much affliction in the wilderness, and our women did bear children in the wilderness. And so great were the blessings of the Lord upon us, that while we did live upon raw meat in the wilderness, our women did give plenty of suck for their children, and were strong, yea, even like unto the men, and they began to bear their journeyings without murmurings. And thus we see that the commandments of God must be fulfilled. And if it so be that the children of men keep the commandments of God, he doth nourish them, and strengthen them, and provide means whereby they can accomplish the thing which he has commanded them. Wherefore he did provide means for us while we did sojourn in the wilderness.
Okay, what you have here is the journey is kind of picking up now. You remember last week I mentioned how they were kind of camped out in the same spot about 3 days from Jerusalem, and then finally, having accomplished what they needed to do at that point, then the Lord told them to move on. So now they're traveling in the wilderness, and they are given the directions. Last week was a south-southeast direction. Now they're traveling nearly eastward. And when you trace the path along the Red Sea, I mean, it does kind of go that way. You can see where they would have turned to the east and started to head in that direction. Now you can see that really time is passing here. Okay, so the first several chapters was just maybe a few days were passing. In fact, we had 5 or 6 chapters that all occurred on the same day, right? But now time is passing, and which you can tell because now it says the women have had babies. So clearly, babies are not made in a week or a day. So so the time is passing, and they're in the wilderness for some period of years now. Okay, and as you can see, the Lord is watching over them, right? Even though it's tough going. They're in the wilderness. It says that they're eating raw meat, so they're not cooking it, but yet they're getting what they need. It says the women are even getting what they need, even though they're having babies, so they're able to continue on and kind of carry their part of the load. So they're doing breastfeeding, all right. So this is all going on, and so they're living as normal life as possible, even though they're in the wilderness, because the Lord is watching out for them and blessing them in this.
And we did sojourn for the space of many years, yea, even 8 years in the wilderness. And we did come to the land which we called Bountiful, because of its much fruit, and also wild honey. And all these things were prepared of the Lord, that we might not perish. And we beheld the sea, which we called Iriantum, which being interpreted is many waters. And it came to pass that we did pitch our tents by the seashore, and notwithstanding we had suffered many afflictions and much difficulty, yea, even so much that we cannot write them all, we were exceedingly rejoiced when we came to the seashore, and we called the place Bountiful because of its much fruit.
Right, 8 years in the wilderness, so a good amount of time has passed now, and they might be wondering, when do we get to where it is that we're going? Okay, are we there yet? All right, there's probably some of that going on. Where are we going, and when are we getting there? But yet, it seems like they're more or less keeping their chin up here and moving in the direction the Lord wants them to go. And obviously, they're walking there, so they're walking a great distance. And in verse 6, it mentions that there are many afflictions and difficulties, and it says so many that we can't write them all. All right, and so that to me shows that this writing is supposed to be a more positive and upbeat kind of a record. All right, I mean, I guess the same. We could complain a whole lot and tell you all the tough times we went through and how difficult it was, but let's just suffice to say that the Lord blessed us and took care of us.
And it came to pass that after I, Nephi, had been in the land of Bountiful for the space of many days, the voice of the Lord came unto me, saying, Arise, and get thee into the mountain. And it came to pass that I arose, and went up into the mountain, and cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass that the Lord spake unto me, saying, Thou shalt construct a ship, after the manner which I shall show thee, that I may carry thy people across these waters. And I said, Lord, whither shall I go, that I may find ore to molten, that I may make tools to construct the ship after the manner which thou hast shown unto me? And it came to pass that the Lord told me whither I should go to find ore, that I might make tools.
Now, apparently they've reached the end of the land here. All right, they've gone as far as what they need to go. Now they're on the shore, and basically they're on the shore of the ocean. So in order to continue to where the Lord wanted them to go, they have to cross the ocean. So needless to say, they can't walk any further. So now the Lord is going to instruct Nephi on how to build a ship to carry them across the ocean. Or he's going to build the ship, the Lord's going to tell him how to do it, and he even shows him where to get the material to make the tools to build the ship, which, again, is just a little detail that helps to make it a little more authentic. Not that he's going to wave his hands and the ship's going to appear, right? I mean, it's going to be, obviously, there's going to be wood, there's going to be nails or whatever, there's going to be hammers and saws and whatever else, and so they're able to make some kind of tools out of ore that they found there. Right? And from what I've read, the geographic area where they're located was one of the places that was kind of richer in ore deposits there, and things that they could have certainly used for this type of an endeavor.
And it came to pass that I, Nephi, did make a bellows wherewith to blow the fire of the skins of beasts. And after I had made a bellows, that I might have wherewith to blow the fire, I did smite 2 stones together, that I might make fire. For the Lord had not hitherto suffered that we should make much fire, as we journeyed in the wilderness. For he said, I will make thy food become sweet, that ye cook it not. And I will also be your light in the wilderness, and I will prepare the way before you, if it so be that ye shall keep my commandments. Wherefore, inasmuch as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall be led towards the promised land, and ye shall know that it is by me that ye are led.
He's telling him how to make fire here. They didn't have much need for fire, so they weren't really doing fire too much, so that's why they didn't have necessarily fire making tools that they were carrying with them, because they were eating the meat raw, right? And they weren't cooking it. The Lord was providing whatever light was needed, so I'll be your light. So there wasn't really any need for fire for the most part. So that's why they hadn't been doing a whole lot of that. But now for this particular project, they were going to need that.
Yea, and the Lord also said that, after ye have arrived in the promised land, ye shall know that I the Lord am God, and that I the Lord did deliver you from destruction, yea, that I did bring you out of the land of Jerusalem. Wherefore I, Nephi, did strive to keep the commandments of the Lord, and I did exhort my brethren to faithfulness and diligence. And it came to pass that I did make tools of the ore which I did molten out of the rock.
Nephi is writing here that as long as they would keep the commandments of God, or as long as they would keep the commandments of God, that he was providing for them, he was taking care of them, and providing for their needs. So now as he, after saying what it is he had to do here, see, I find it interesting in 15, it says, therefore I did strive to keep the commandments of the Lord, and I did exhort my brethren to faithfulness and diligence. So recognizing that keeping the commandments equals God's protection and so forth, so we better do what's right here, right? So that therefore I did my best to keep the commandments, and I was pushing my brothers to do it too, because I wanted God's blessings upon us as a people.
And when my brethren saw that I was about to build a ship, they began to murmur against me, saying, Our brother is a fool, for he thinketh that he can build a ship. Yea, and he also thinketh that he can cross these great waters. And thus my brethren did complain against me, and were desirous that they might not labor, for they did not believe that I could build a ship, neither would they believe that I was instructed of the Lord. And now it came to pass that I, Nephi, was exceeding sorrowful because of the hardness of their hearts. And now when they saw that I began to be sorrowful, they were glad in their hearts, insomuch that they did rejoice over me, saying, We knew that ye could not construct a ship, for we knew that ye were lacking in judgment. Wherefore thou canst not accomplish so great a work.
When Nephi laid out his plan to build a ship, and said, well, we're going to show him to build a ship, so his brothers jumped in and said, yeah, you're a fool, what are you nuts? You're going to build a ship that's going to cross the ocean? Where'd you get trained to build a ship, right? And you think I'm getting on that ship? Now, whether it's because they just didn't want to work, whether it was one possibility, but also just as because they didn't really believe that it was possible anyway, so why bother to work on a project that's doomed to failure? So they just were not really willing to help. And so now, upon that happening, it says that Nephi says he was exceedingly sorrowful. So when I guess if he maybe put his head down and see, we're right. So yeah, we straightened him out and told them that this was a silly idea. So they felt that they were winning, if you will, right? That they were kind of getting it over on him this time, right? But that's not the way it's going to be. He's sorrowful about them, that they're like this.
And thou art like unto our father, led away by the foolish imaginations of his heart. Yea, he hath led us out of the land of Jerusalem, and we have wandered in the wilderness for these many years. And our women have toiled, being big with child, and they have borne children in the wilderness, and suffered all things, save it were death. And it would have been better that they had died before they came out of Jerusalem, than to have suffered these afflictions. Behold, these many years we have suffered in the wilderness, which time we might have enjoyed our possessions in the land of our inheritance. Yea, and we might have been happy. And we know that the people who were in the land of Jerusalem were a righteous people, for they kept the statutes and judgments of the Lord, and all his commandments, according to the law of Moses. Wherefore we know that they are a righteous people, and our Father hath judged them, and hath led us away, because we would hearken unto his words. Yea, and our brother is like unto him. And after this manner of language did my brethren murmur and complain against us.
In one way, a little more the same of, the foolish imaginations, you're just like our Father, it's all the same kind of stuff. It brought us out of Jerusalem, right? But now, and looking back over these years, these 8 years we've been traveling, our women have had a hard time. They could have been, comfortable in nice homes in Jerusalem, and they could be having babies, and I'm sure it was difficult, by the way. Those of you who had babies, it's hard enough as it is. Imagine being out in the wilderness when you had to do it, give birth and then have a newborn. I mean, I'm sure it was difficult, right? So now it just kind of all comes out here, it's all hardship we've been through. Right, but now you get to 22, and an interesting way of thinking is, right, those people in Jerusalem, they were good people. What do you mean they were wicked and were going to be destroyed? I mean, our Father was just very judgmental, right? They were good people. They were following the statutes of God. So why would he think they were wicked? Why would he want to leave there? So he just wanted to take us away from our home, and they really were. They were good people back there. I mean, I could have been a Today story, right? People who are godly people saying that this is wrong, right? What do you mean that's wrong? These are good people.
And it came to pass that I, Nephi, spake unto them, saying, Do ye believe that our fathers, who were the children of Israel, would have been led away out of the hands of the Egyptians if they had not hearkened unto the words of the Lord? Yea, do you suppose that they would have been led out of bondage if the Lord had not commanded Moses that he should lead them out of bondage? Now you know that the children of Israel were in bondage, and you know that they were laden with tasks, which were grievous to be borne. Wherefore you know that it must needs be a good thing for them that they should be brought out of bondage.
He's now likening it to the children of Israel, right, when they were in bondage at the time of Moses, and Moses was sent to lead them out of bondage, out of Egypt. And but what he's saying is that if suppose they had taken the same, if you will, attitude or position as what you are, Laman and Lemuel, they never would have left, right? They would have said, "Oh, well, we're happy here. We're staying here." Okay. And of course, as we know, even as they traveled, a lot of them did have that attitude, and they kept saying, "Oh, we were happier back in Egypt, so we should go back." So it's very similar, a lot of similarities here. But now he's going to use this story to show them who they are in the story, right? And yeah, actually, it's a pretty effective tool if you think about it. If you tell a story that everybody knows the story, and they know who's, if you will, the good guys and the bad guys, and then you say, now, who are you in the story? Are you the good guy or the bad guy? Maybe they'll realize that, okay, yeah, we're not really looking at this the right way, because we're the same as those people who complained while they were traveling from Egypt.
Now you know that Moses was commanded of the Lord to do that great work, and you know that by his word the waters of the Red Sea were divided hither and thither, and they passed through on dry ground. But you know that the Egyptians were drowned in the Red Sea, who were the armies of Pharaoh, and you also know that they were fed with manna in the wilderness.
Okay, so it's a familiar story of the Israelites in the wilderness, crossing the Red Sea, and the Red Sea came and drowned the Egyptians they followed, and they received manna in the wilderness. The Lord provided for them every day, 6 days a week. It came down, and they gathered it up, and they ate it. What happened the seventh day?
Yeah, gathered twice on the 6th day.
Right. They got twice as much on the 6th day, because nothing came on the 7th day, because it was the Sabbath. They were supposed to be resting.
Yea, and ye also know that Moses by his word, according to the power of God which was in him, smote the rock, and there came forth water, that the children of Israel might quench their thirst. And notwithstanding they being led, the Lord their God, their Redeemer, going before them, leading them by day, giving light unto them by night, and doing all things for them which were expedient for man to receive, they hardened their hearts and blinded their minds, and reviled against Moses and against the true and living God. And it came to pass that according to his word he did destroy them, and according to his word he did lead them, and according to his word he did do all things for them, and there was not anything done, save it were by his word.
Again, showing parallels between the exodus from Israel and their trip, right? Saying that the Lord provided light when they needed it, right? That he provided for them whatever it was that they needed it as they traveled. Okay, but yet saying that there were those who were against Moses and against God even as they did this. So again, a lot of parallels between that account and this one, and hoping to see that Laman and Lemuel would recognize that they're siding or being like the ones who were reviling against Moses and against God, even as they're doing that against Nephi and his father here.
And after they had crossed the river Jordan, he did make them mighty unto the driving out of the children of the land, yea, unto the scattering them to destruction. And now, do you suppose that the children of this land, who were in the land of promise, who were driven out by our fathers, do you suppose that they were righteous? Behold, I say unto you, nay. Do you suppose that our fathers would have been more choice than they if they had been righteous? I say unto you, nay.
Just as Lehi and Nephi and their party are heading for what's being called the Promised Land, the people at the time of the Exodus were also heading for a place that was known as the Promised Land. Right? Remember what their Promised Land was, by the way? Canaan, right? And so it says when they crossed the River Jordan was when they crossed into Canaan, and so you remember the story with Joshua and the and so forth. That there's basically they had to drive the people out of the land in order to be able to live there, right? So now what it's saying here is if the people who were living in that land already were being righteous, that never would have happened. Okay, why would God bring the Israelites over and kick these people off their land, just for the sake of giving them a place to live, right? He's basically saying these people were not following the rules, so they were not pleasing to God, so he brought the Israelites over and gave them the land of Canaan, right? Because he's saying that God is not a respecter of persons, or he doesn't play favorites. Well, I like them better than them, so I'm going to kick them off and put them there, even though these people are not doing anything wrong. Right? He's saying if they had been living right, that wouldn't have happened to them.
Behold, the Lord esteemeth all flesh in one. He that is righteous is favored of God. But behold, this people had rejected every word of God, and they were ripe in iniquity. And the fullness of the wrath of God was upon them. And the Lord did curse the land against them, and bless it unto our fathers. Yea, he did curse it against them unto their destruction, and he did bless it unto our fathers unto their obtaining power over it. Behold, the Lord hath created the earth, that it should be inhabited, and he hath created his children, that they should possess it. And he raiseth up a righteous nation, and destroyeth the nations of the wicked.
He's pointing out that these people who were displaced from their land, it says they were ripe in iniquity, they rejected every word of God, so they were not godly people. So again, it's not that God just randomly kicked them off, to kick them out of the land. They did it for a purpose, because he wanted the Israelites who were following his commandments by that time to dwell in the land.
And he leadeth away the righteous into precious lands, and the wicked he destroyeth, and curseth the land unto them for their sakes. He ruleth high in the heavens, for it is his throne, and this earth is his footstool. And he loveth those who will have him to be their God. Behold, he loved our fathers, and he covenanted with them, yea, even Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he remembered the covenants which he had made, wherefore he did bring them out of the land of Egypt.
Okay, at the beginning of verse 40 there, you kind of see kind of the key sentence of this part. It says that he loveth those who will have him to be their God. Okay, that's pretty simple, right? That they, yes, he wants people to keep the commandments for sure, right? But it says he loves anybody who would have him to be their God. So I mean, that's really all he wants from us, is that we would look to him as our God and then take our direction from him, right? It's not that we have to, if we want to impress him, or we just need to do what we're told, recognize that he's our God, and we do what we're told. It says that God loves those who have him to be their God. And so that he made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so what's the connection between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and the people who came out of the land of Egypt? Right? That Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that is the beginning of the house of Israel, because Jacob's name was changed to Israel, so therefore his 12 sons became the 12 patriarchs and the 12 tribes of Israel. So these people, Israel, coming out of Egypt, these were the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? So that's why the covenant was made to them, and God kept that covenant even years later as time went forward.
And he did straiten them in the wilderness with his rod, for they hardened their hearts, even as ye have. And the Lord straitened them because of their iniquity. He sent fiery flying serpents among them, and after they were bitten, he prepared a way that they might be healed. And the labor which they had to perform was to look. And because of the simpleness of the way, or the easiness of it, there were many who perished. And they did harden their hearts from time to time, and they did revile against Moses, and also against God. Nevertheless, ye know that they were led forth by his matchless power unto the land of promise.
Lest we think it was for any other purpose that he's saying this, right? At the beginning of 41 there it says that they hardened their hearts, even as you have, right? So you can see that he's comparing it to his brothers as he's talking about, right? The ones who hardened their hearts in this story, they're just like you, because it's just like you're hardening your hearts as we travel here. Now he mentions the story of the fiery flying serpents, right? And after they were bitten, he prepared a way that they might be healed. It was a serpent made of brass, actually, and then it was put up on a stick or something, and where they were just told to look at it, and they would be healed, right? And it says because of the simpleness or the easiness of it, they wouldn't look, right? They wouldn't look. They refused to look, and so they died. Now, what other part of the scripture is that usually likened to? right? But it's supposed to be, it's likened to Christ, right? It says that today, if you look to Christ, you can be saved, right? It's just as they would look at the serpent and you'll be saved, right? And so it always points out how simple it was, right, with the serpent. All you had to do was look, right? You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to say what it's made of. You didn't have to make one yourself. Just look at it and you'll be saved. And they were too stubborn to do it. Well, today we teach people, look to Christ, accept what the Lord did for you. Of course, when we say, be baptized, and then you're looking to Christ, all right? So it's really pretty simple if you think about it, all right? And yet, we have a lot that won't do that.
And now after all these things, the time has come that they have become wicked, yea, nearly unto ripeness. And I know not, but they are at this day about to be destroyed. For I know that the day must surely come that they must be destroyed, save a few only, who shall be led away into captivity. Wherefore the Lord commanded my father that he should depart into the wilderness, and the Jews also sought to take away his life. Yea, and ye also have sought to take away his life. Wherefore ye are murderers in your hearts, and ye are like unto them.
It's kind of following, the story down. Now he's jumping ahead in the narrative. Said, okay, there were these people that they went over to the land of Canaan. They inhabited that. All right, now, roll the clock forward. Now you have the same house of Israel in Jerusalem today. It says they've ripened in iniquity. They've threatened to kill our father, and so the Lord told him to leave. And guess what? You guys threatened to kill him too. So you're really no better than them. So you probably should be with them because you're just like them, right? That you're just as wicked as they are because you're looking to kill him too. So he's brought the story all the way around now to show who it is that he's trying to compare his brothers to. Again, trying to get them to understand what it is they've been doing and to hopefully make a change.
You are swift to do iniquity, but slow to remember the Lord your God. Ye have seen an angel, and he spake unto you. Yea, ye have heard his voice from time to time, and he hath spoken unto you in a still small voice, but ye were past feeling, that ye could not feel his words. Wherefore he hath spoken unto you like unto the voice of thunder, which did cause the earth to shake as if it were to divide asunder. And ye also know that by the power of his almighty word he can cause the earth that it shall pass away. Yea, and ye know that by his word he can cause the rough places to be made smooth, and smooth places shall be broken up. O then why is it that ye can be so hard in your hearts? Behold, my soul is rent with anguish because of you, and my heart is pained. I fear lest ye shall be cast off forever. Behold, I am full of the Spirit of God, insomuch that my frame has no strength.
So as he's wrapping up what he's saying to the brothers, again, you can see really where he's coming from on this. And, we've said a lot of things like what he's saying here, especially in verse 45. As the frustration comes out, it says, you've seen an angel, for goodness sake. Okay, you've heard the voice of God. He's spoken to you, both softly and loudly, whatever it takes to get through to you, right? So God has spoken to you and reached out to you so many times. So what more can he do? Right? And it gets down to 47. It says, my soul is rent with anguish because of you. Right? I'm fearful, yes, you'll be cast off forever. Right? You're only going to get so many chances. So many chances that God's going to reach out to you, and then that's going to be it. And once you're cast off, then it's all over. So you're getting a lot of opportunities here, and you're wasting them all. So these are his brothers. So I I guess he loves them in whatever way, and so he's concerned about them. He sees them constantly going against God and going against the teachings here. So he says, what more can God do for you?
And now it came to pass that when I had spoken these words, they were angry with me, and were desirous to throw me into the depths of the sea. As they came forth to lay their hands upon me, I spake unto them, saying, in the name of the Almighty God, I command you that ye touch me not, for I am filled with the power of God, even unto the consuming of my flesh. And whoso shall lay his hands upon me shall wither, even as a dried reed, and he shall be as naught before the power of God, for God shall smite him. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, said unto them that they should murmur no more against their father, neither should they withhold their labor from me, for God had commanded me that I should build a ship.
Brothers heard the narrative, and they were angry and were desirous of throwing me into the ocean, right? So okay, you like this ocean, all right? You want to be on an ocean? We'll help you into the ocean, okay? So they were going to throw him in the water, all right? But now at this point, he just basically invokes the power of God here and says, no, don't touch me, because if you do, something bad's going to happen. It says you're going to wither like a dried reed, so you don't want to be touching me now, all right?
And I said unto them, if God had commanded me to do all things, I could do them. If he should command me that I should say unto this water, be thou earth, it should be earth. And if I should say it, it would be done. And now if the Lord has such great power, and has wrought so many miracles among the children of men, how is it that he cannot instruct me that I should build a ship? And it came to pass that I, Nephi, said many things unto my brethren, insomuch that they were confounded, and could not contend against me. Neither durst they lay their hands upon me, nor touch me with their fingers, even for the space of many days. Now they durst not do this, lest they should wither before me. So powerful was the Spirit of God, and thus it had wrought upon them.
At this point, when he's filled with the Spirit of God, I mean, he's really feeling like, whatever God tells me to do at this point, I can do it. He's going to give me the power to do whatever needs to be done, including building that ship, right? So if he wants me to build a ship, I'm going to build a ship. And guess what? You're going to help me, right? Because this is going to happen because God wants this to happen. And so the brothers, I guess they got the point, or at least felt the Spirit of God in this, or the power of God. He says, we're not touching you at all. I'm going to touch you, touching my finger, right? And so it says for several days that they didn't touch him at all. Now, again, I don't know how much touching normally went on, but it made a point that they didn't touch him for several days here. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they shook hands occasionally, but not now, right? They weren't going to touch him at all because I guess they were afraid that to see what would happen. So I mean, I guess there was some fear of God there, and I guess they thought back on the different displays of the power of God they saw and said, well, if he says we're going to wither, maybe you better not test it out here.
And it came to pass that the Lord said unto me, Stretch forth thine hand again unto thy brethren, and they shall not wither before thee, but I will shock them, saith the Lord. And this will I do, that they may know that I am the Lord their God. And it came to pass that I stretched forth my hand unto my brethren, and they did not wither before me, but the Lord did shake them, even according to the word which he has spoken. And now they said, We know of a surety that the Lord is with thee, for we know that it is the power of the Lord that has shaken us. And they fell down before me, and were about to worship me. But I would not suffer them, saying, I am thy brother, yea, even thy younger brother. Wherefore worship the Lord thy God, and honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long in the land which the Lord thy God shall give thee.
In order to show the power of God that was going on, so it says, the Lord told him to, all right, go and touch them now. So don't worry, we won't wither them. We'll shake them up a little bit, all right? And let them feel the power of God kind of coursing through you here, and let them know that this is real, right? It's not just words or rhetoric or yelling, but there really is something going on here. And so when he did, they were shaken up enough that they got the message, right? And so as you can see in 55, it says, now they said, we know of a surety that the Lord is with thee. We know it's the power of the Lord that has shaken us, right? So now you hear those words, it says, we know of a surety that the Lord is with you. So now it says they're sure that God is with them. So for sure they're going to be on the right path from now on. For tonight anyway. They are. Okay, so unfortunately, everything that happens to them is always temporary. And so even something as straightforward as this, it's only temporary and just lasts for a time. But they are going to help them build the ship, by the way, in the next chapter. So.